Hi everyone, welcome to the Newman Bond, the official podcast of Newman University. I'm Ian Leckie, the Director of Residence Life, and with me today is Thomas Munn. Munn, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome, Ian. Always a pleasure.
Well, first off, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to Newman.
So I'm a Wichita native, pretty much. Outside of Wichita, I'm from Goddard. Grown up here, went to Bishop Carroll High School. Main reasons that brought me to Newman was I got the Monsignor McNeil scholarship, so that really impacted my decision making, and plus playing baseball. Got the opportunity to play baseball here, which is real good, so that's kind of what brought me here.
All right. So Newman currently has 3 residence halls, and so you talked about the scholarship kind of brought you here. What was the reason for coming onto campus and choosing to live here, knowing that you are within driving range of campus?
So the drive for home would probably be like 20 minutes for me. So if I was just a student, I probably would have just commuted, but with playing baseball, I knew my schedule was going to be crazy, and I didn't want to do that back and forth. I also got the opportunity to be a part of Metanoia here on campus, the Catholic living community. So that really helped in my decision making, knowing that I'd be in a good community of fellow Catholics. So between not wanting to run around that much and a little bit, I come from a family of 6 kids, so kind of wanted to get out a little bit. That's kind of what pushed me to wanting to live on campus.
So tell me a little bit more about Metanoia. What was your experience like?
So I was in a group. It was me and 3 other guys, and then there was 5 girls. We were in Beata Hall, so we got our own pods, and just we would do night prayer every night together as a community. We had other opportunities, growing our faith, adoration, going to mass, participating in the mass, as servers, lectors, singers, stuff like that, and just having the community in general, even outside of those times of night prayer and mass and adoration stuff, we would still hang out. If we all had homework to do, we would go to one of the pods, just sit in a living room, talk, do homework. Occasionally we went out and did stuff, so I very much enjoyed it, especially being a freshman in college, not quite knowing people, being in a fresh start, just having that group of people to already have to get you started just made the transition that much easier.
So normally when students are first time on any college campus, they come to Newman and they live in Kurochi Hall. Kurochi Hall is suite style, 2 to a room, and then the 4 students share a bathroom. Beata is the sophomore living, as you just mentioned, they're more pod oriented, and then Fugate Hall is the 21 and up. So the intent behind having students live in Kurochi their first year is so that they learn to live with another student. Do you feel that being given your own room in Beata may have impacted that experience? Now being an RA in Kurochi, how do you see, your freshmen interact with each other in ways that maybe weren't possible in Beata, or was Metanoia kind of just a special circumstance in that, you still had that experience?
Yeah, so living in Beata, it's almost living at your house at home. Everybody has their own room, and then you share your living room and kitchen and stuff. So we still had that having to communicate about cleaning the kitchen, cleaning the living room, cleaning bathrooms and stuff like that. So that was still there. But definitely, I preferred it just because I had my own room. I didn't have to worry about that conflict of living arrangements and stuff like that. I've been lucky as an RA so far. I haven't had to worry about that. My residents have been pretty good about working out stuff on their own from what I know. So I've been lucky in that so far. Hopefully I don't have to deal with that. But I very much appreciated having my own room, and I feel like that's one of the things that benefits being part of Metanoia. You kind of get that little extra perk. But at the same time, I can see the difficulties and a little bit of the life skills that come out of living with another freshman. So I kind of see both sides of that.
All right, well, thank you. So kind of give me a rundown on what your day-to-day looked like your first semester here at Newman.
First semester, so Because of baseball, I kind of had to pack my schedule a little more in the fall so that during the season I could be a little bit more free. So just classes every day. I like to sleep in, so I always missed breakfast, which probably wasn't the best, but was what it was. Being in Beata, you're kind of centralized on campus, so I could kind of wait 5 minutes to go to my classes, whether that was I just had to get other homework done or I didn't want to just go sit in my classroom before. So go to class, would normally go to lunch, get my study hall hours in if I needed to, just work on any homework until had to go to practice, go to dinner, and then just depending on the activities around campus or if I had homework, I would go do that. There were some of the other baseball players in Beata on the second floor, so sometimes I'd go down, talk to them, spend time with them, go to night prayer at night with Metanoia, and then knowing by then I would tuck away my room, finish up whatever homework I had, and then go to bed. So sometimes, spend that extra late nights talking to roommates, stay up a little longer than we should, but, that's life. But, yeah, that was day-to-day for me.
So it's my understanding that, sometimes night prayer didn't always take place in Beata. It would, you go to Sonic or you go out to the sand volleyball court. Share with me a little bit about, that side of Metanoia, how night prayer wasn't always on the third floor.
Yeah, so like you said, normally it's on the third floor in the lobby. On Wednesdays, a lot of time, Wednesday's campus ministry night, so we would say night prayer with all of campus ministry because that's how they end their day. Sometimes it would be in the girls' pod. We would do a Bible study on Sunday nights after Mass. So some of us would go to Mass if we hadn't gone already at 7 o'clock, come back, do like a small little Bible study, and then we'd do night prayer in their room. And yeah, sometimes if we were just out doing stuff and 9:15 rolled around or we knew like other people had to go do stuff after, like we would just do it then. And that's the beauty about night prayer and just prayer in general. It doesn't matter where you're at. You can do it wherever you want. So it's one of those things we kind of just communicate. If it seemed like a large group of us was going to go to a play on campus and that was going to cover up, maybe we'd push it back, do it later, or move it up so that more people could make it. Because obviously we wanted the majority of people to be there. So it was kind of just what worked best for people thing.
All right. So at the beginning and the end of every semester, you got move in and move out. What advice do you have to students about making the move in or move out process, a little running a little smoother?
Yeah, so for me, my first year being in Beata, I was on the third floor, and Beata doesn't have an elevator. So that was a bit of a struggle having to go up and down 3 flights of stairs all the time, especially trying to carry a futon up there. That was, my dad and I struggled with that thing. But after watching this year as an RA, watching freshmen move in and kind of getting to see both those experiences, one thing that I feel like would have been beneficial is if some people would have waited until they got here, because I know a lot of people, they got all this stuff expecting it to put in their room. They go to put in their room and then they realize the amount of stuff their roommate has too, and then they're like, we don't really have room for that, or so then their parents are having to take it home. One thing I kind of waited, I know my first year I didn't know what to expect on the stuff I needed, and there's like a Walmart not too far from here, so we kind of waited until I moved in to figure out what I needed. And I feel like that helped a bit because it kind of made move-in less stressful because there was less stuff. I was able to see the outline of my room, see the stuff that I brought and the room I would have for stuff, and then kind of decide from there the stuff that I would need or want for my room. And as you go on throughout the semester, you kind of realize things. You see the stuff other people have, and you're like, oh, that'd be really nice to have, sort of thing. So it seems a little rushed, sort of thing, but I feel like waiting until you get here to get the big stuff. People are going to want their mini fridges, their TVs, so that's understandable to get, but just kind of the extra shelving and stuff, especially to save that cost if that's something that you're having to watch for. Waiting to see if you really need that stuff, so you're not just getting it and then you're not using it and then it's just sitting in your basement at home for a long time and you look at it 6 months down the road and you're like, what did we get this for? So that's something I feel like would be beneficial.
All right, well, thank you. So what are some of the pros and cons of living on campus? For a student that may be torn between, staying at home or coming on to campus.
I mean, I'll start with the cons, just because for me, they weren't that many. I just know for me, just being away from your family is always difficult. It's nice being at home, having your mom cook you food all the time. Like, CAF's nice, but your mom's cooking's that much better. So just that, and just kind of having your own room, like being in the comfort of your own room. But for me, that was kind of about it when it came to the cons, because it was just kind of like, it's school, it's kind of life, moving on, like you're gonna have to get to there eventually. I know for me, just being on campus, meeting the people on campus that you take classes with, that you're gonna pass, walking to your classes all the time. Newman has so many events going on all the time. Like, if you say you're bored, I don't believe it, because there's so many opportunities to go do stuff, meet people, just immerse yourself in the community here at Newman. Especially being a baseball player, just being able to hang out with the guys more often was really nice. Having that extra time to just sit in my room before class and not having to rush to get to class per se, and having to worry about traffic was nice. Yeah, I just feel like living on campus just brought so many more opportunities for me to meet people, to just grow, and just kind of start that next step in life of having to start going on my own.
What would you say a few must-haves that students should consider when living on campus? What are some items that may increase the amount that they get out of their experience on campus?
Yeah, it very much depends on the type of person you are. I know a lot of people bring their TVs, their gaming consoles, if that's something you're into. I know, for me, I don't have very much when it comes to stuff here, just because I'm so busy, there's not really time to use it. But, I mean, you're kind of your normal stuff. Like, you're going to want your bedding, your toiletries, just kind of the stuff that you would normally use at home, you would want to bring here. I can't think of very many other things that I use on a day-to-day basis that I would say I just use at school. One thing that I had to get used to is kind of just keeping my own schedule. In high school, you kind of have your day planned out for you. You go hour to hour, go to your classes, you go to practice after. It's kind of similar here. You go to your classes and stuff like that. I had to start keeping kind of like a calendar the end of my freshman year, just because I just had so much going on that I had to remember to write it down. So if you're someone that's not used to having to remember what events you have going on, maybe just a whiteboard or something to write down, like, hey, I got this going on this day, just so you have the reminder. But I mean, we're so used to just putting stuff on our phones nowadays that, like, that's something you can do there. For me, it kind of gets lost sometimes, so it's like just having that visual reminder when I go in my room, seeing that, knowing that that's what I have going on, that's about it. Being in Kurochi compared to being in Beata, I would say definitely a microwave is very beneficial, just because you have those times when the cafe isn't open and you get hungry, so having something to cook some food, and maybe an air fryer. I feel like everybody brings a mini fridge now. That's something that's very handy.
Not a toaster?
No, you can't bring a toaster. That's a fire hazard right there. But yeah, normally what you would use at home, obviously you're gonna have your big stuff at home that doesn't make sense to have on campus, but other than that, that's all I'd really recommend having.
Are there any special events strictly for students that live in the residence halls? As a freshman, you kind of got to experience, but now on the RA side of things, kind of share a little bit of both.
From my understanding, I wouldn't say there's anything that's strictly only people in the residence hall. That's something nice about Newman. It's kind of open to everybody all the time. I know we had our first event last month, Pioneer RA, and we had people from other dorm, like, even though it was a Kurochi event, We had people from Fugate, Beata coming. There was even people off campus that were just hanging out with their friends that came and participated. So I think that's something nice that even though the residence hall themselves put it on, it's not for just residence hall students only per se. And I feel like that's something that helps with the community here at Newman, like just being open to everybody coming to events like that is really nice. But like I was saying, like every month, residence halls put on a event just to bring together the dorms, the people, because I mean, though you spend a lot of time on your own floors, it's nice to know the other people that you see walking through the lobby all the time or that you may pass in the laundry room. So, yeah.
What are some of the rules being in the dorms? Quiet hours, inviting guests to stay on campus, using the common spaces,
Yeah. So common spaces, like it says in its name, they're common. So it's kind of up to the people to understand sharing them with other people. In Croce, on the first floor, we have a ping pong table. So I get a lot of foot traffic of people playing ping pong, just sitting there watching people play ping pong. We have a TV, so if there's some sporting event going on, there'll be people in there watching that. I know the soccer guys like to hook up their computer and watch big soccer games on there, which I'm all for. So just having the personal skills, I guess, of understanding when you're kind of hogging the ping pong table up a little much, or just sharing that with everybody. My residents have been good about it so far. I haven't had to deal with any issues. Quiet hours on the weekdays are like midnight to 8, just so people kind of get people to go to bed so that they're not staying up all night. Weekends 1 to 8, just so people can get that time to go to bed. That's another issue I feel like we haven't had too much of a problem with, which is nice. That's kind of about it when it comes to rules. I mean, you have your normal rules that you have to obey for any dorm room, any school, anything that you go to. I feel like there's nothing that unreasonable in there. Some people throw a fit just, I feel like, for the sake of throwing a fit, but that's, freshmen will be like that sometimes. It's not until you grow up that you realize you were like that. You have that happen to yourself and you're like, wow, they're so dumb. And then I have people like you, like Munn, you were like that too. So, and I was like, so it's true. But it's not that difficult, I feel like, you're just living life. I feel like it's living life with everybody else on the floor, and it's nice.
Well, good. Can you describe what the security looks like on campus? Especially because your first year here, you didn't have the new implement of the flock cameras. So,
Yeah.
Last year to this year, going from, security, but real, like this year you feel real, like how do you feel with the new cameras and stuff?
Yeah, I know, especially as an RA, having to help people that may have issues, the flock cameras have become very nice for us. I'm hoping that the people that might come onto campus that before we had the flock cameras, now that they have the flock cameras, it might hinder people from wanting to come on campus to do stuff, which is very nice. I feel like security is always good about answering calls, getting to stuff in a timely manner, being understanding of situations. I haven't had an issue with security at all. Anytime I've needed them, they've been willing to help. I know I had a time my freshman year, it got cold out, my battery kind of died a little bit over the night, and security came and they had a portable jumper and they were able to jump my truck for me, so that was very kind. So I feel like security does the best they can for the campus they have. I always see them driving around, so it's nice actually seeing them, knowing that they're on campus, checking for stuff that we don't have to worry about now because we got them. Just like any college campus, stuff's going to happen. Luckily, we haven't had that big of an issue or many issues, so I feel like because of security's presence, that's kind of why we're able to do that.
Well, good. What have you enjoyed most about living on the same floor as your peers?
So even though I'm a year older than the freshmen, like we're still around the same age. Some of them are barely a couple months younger than me. So just being, it's kind of like having a bunch of friends, living with a bunch of friends, even though you're not all in the same room per se. You kind of all have the same mindset. You're all kind of wanting to do the same things, interested in the same things, especially with a lot of on campus, like living people being athletes. You kind of, there's just that with athletes, I feel like they're very much just wanting to do the same things. Kind of a little bit of competitiveness, no matter what it's doing. Even if it's ping pong, sometimes those games get heated, but just kind of the people that you're going to be seeing for the next 4 years, getting to know them, getting to know the things they like to do, them as people, their families, stuff like that. It makes just kind of seeing people on campus that much better. You don't feel alone per se. You see familiar faces. You see the people you can go sit with in the caf, people to sit next to in classes, people that can help you in your classes because you're living on the same floor with them, so it's easier to go do homework, especially with all the dorms having study rooms, just getting together in those, doing that. So I feel like that aspect is very nice.
All right, well, compare what your college life would look like if you were a commuter student rather than living on campus.
In one word, it would be stressful. That is for sure. I know I had a couple weekends last year just kind of getting used to it. I would go home, spend the weekend at home just because I didn't have anything going on. And sometimes I would decide to stay Sunday night instead of coming back Sunday night. And I would have a class Monday morning. And those days I tended to be a little late to class. So knowing that I didn't have to worry about that drive in the morning, trying to beat traffic all the time, really made me appreciate living on campus. I feel like the bond I would have with my teammates wouldn't be as good because getting to know your teammates outside of the sport you play is nice, and just getting to know them as people compared to how they, because everybody has a little different persona when they're on the field. You have to, as an athlete, kind of have that extra edge. So just getting to know them as people and their hobbies, the stuff they like to do, was nice. Looking back on it, I'm very glad I decided to live on campus. I can't imagine living at home, though I love my family. It's kind of nice being out of the house with all the kids, but yeah.
All right, well, with that being said, what's a memory that you have from being on campus that you wouldn't have had or created otherwise?
So last year, my RA, Elise Helfrich, and I decided to get into a little prank war. It was a good time. A lot of good pranks. A lot of walking in my room being a little surprised because of the stuff she would pull. Me getting her pretty good a couple times. So just having that experience with my RA, even though she was in Metnoy with us, so like I got to just get to know her. So kind of knowing I could kind of do that with her was nice. Definitely, if I was at home, I would not have been able to do that. So that's definitely something I will remember for a long time.
Who won that prank war?
I'm pretty sure I did.
Oh, okay.
She likes to argue that I broke a couple rules, but I'm not sure about that. I don't believe it.
There is one rule is there are no rules.
Exactly, it's a prank war.
Well, congratulations on that, Munn.
Thank you.
Is there anything I haven't asked, or anything you'd like, students to know, whether they've been on campus or if they're, high school seniors and debating on whether they should come to Newman, or if they've already decided they're coming to Newman and that decision on why they should live on campus or commute?
Yeah, so definitely just for people, currently living at home, I get especially youngest kids and especially oldest kids just being afraid to go away for that first time, because you just get that bond with your parents, with your siblings, that you may not quite feel ready to let go of, which is okay. Like that, everybody has their own way of dealing with that. I mean, me personally, if you were to come and ask me what should I do, I would say live on campus. It's just an experience that you're not going to be able to get back if you don't live on campus. If you decide to live at home, I know a lot of people, I mean, especially being a commuter, like if you're close enough to go home, like there's nothing stopping you from going home and spending time with your family. I know I haven't missed any of my siblings' birthdays. Like I've been able to go home, have dinner, celebrate with them. So I haven't missed anything per se, but I haven't missed anything, and I've gained so much from living on campus that I wouldn't have gotten before. So if you're caught in between, I recommend just going for it, because I feel like you just have so much to gain and not that much to lose. So,
how important would you say it is to be involved once you are on campus?
I feel like it's very important, especially being a first-time student. You're kind of wanting to get to know the community, the students. It can be really easy to just kind of lock yourself in your room, be by yourself. But once you kind of get out there and go do stuff and meet people, you'll have fun and you'll want to do it over and over again. It makes the college experience that much easier. With classes and stuff, it can get pretty stressful. And just having that ability to kind of just release that stress or just not think about homework for a little bit is very beneficial. Yeah.
And then last, for anyone who's wondering, or questioning whether if they should become an RA or if they will even make it as a sophomore, they've only had 1 year on campus and they might doubt themselves. As someone who is a sophomore and is an RA and is excelling in that position, what would be your advice to them?
Definitely as an RA, you got to make it a position of service. If you kind of put yourself on a pedestal a little bit and try to put yourself above people, it makes it harder, because if you put yourself in the position, then the people that you're watching over aren't gonna feel like they can come to you if they have issues, and at the same time just spend time with you. Especially only being a year older than people, they kind of feel like they're the same age as me, which I'm okay with. I kind of like present it as that way too. I have people that will just stop by my room occasionally just to talk for a little bit, just mess around, and I appreciate that they feel like they can do that. They don't feel like threatened by me as much as an RA. At a little bit, you got to have that little fist of justice to be like, hey, can't do that sort of stuff, can't be doing that, which may be tough, especially only being a year older than people. I know it's tough for me because as they see me as a peer for a little bit, they're kind of trying to get away with a little more, which I understand. I would do the same thing if I was a freshman doing stuff I technically shouldn't be doing. But I feel like if you're just kind of open to them, they're willing to give that little bit. You give, they give sort of thing. And then just being a sophomore, I feel like, especially after having a whole year, you're able to reflect back on the things that you did, the things you should have done. So just having that back and forth of things to maybe do going into the next year. I know first semester as a freshman is tough. It's tough for everybody. But once you hit that second semester and you kind of find your place in the university, you get to understand yourself a little bit more. It becomes a little easier as you go forward. The struggles of life are going to come no matter what. So you're going to have to get through those one way or another. And I feel like living on campus and having the support of the people on campus is much easier than if you didn't. So that's just something I would recommend if you kind of had that struggle.
All right, well, thank you. With that, I'd like to say a big thank you to Thomas Munn for joining us on the Newman Bond, the official podcast of Newman University. You can find us at newmanu.edu.
I was like, what? I have no idea.
I get a lot more blessings.
Really fun experience.
Really, the Newman